Hey, Fed heads, welcome back to another episode of Sharing Our Pairings. I'm Trip, your host. We're broadcast live on Facebook.com, around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network, available as a podcast or on the YouTubes if that's your preferred way of
We're
watching.
live.
I'm here with my normal co-host Dennis and a couple of special co-hosts. First, Dennis, how you doing tonight?
What's up, Trippy? Doing pretty good.
Awesome. And then we've got two special co-hosts, one returning from the grave and one returning from last week. Our previously exiled co-host, John the Cigar Surgeon Reiner.
I'm like special light compared to our actual guest tonight. But thanks for having me on. When I heard we were going to do the Murciélago and Hector was going to be on, I was like, okay, like I don't care how cold it is. I got to be on this show. I got to crack some beers because it's going to be a good show. It's probably going to run like 16 hours, but
That's about right.
Should be good.
And then, of course, as you mentioned, our guest of the evening, Hector Alfonso.
Guys, glad to be on with the consolidated cigar media, the collective cigar media. So happy to be with you guys. Nice to meet Dennis for the first time. Trip was great last week. And of course, the cigar media person with the slickest name, the Cigar Surgeon. And welcome to the Jerry Lewis telephone version of Cigar Chat, share your pairings. So, I'm glad you guys had me back. I'm very happy to be here, guys.
Anytime. It's easy to nail somebody down for an interview. It's harder to nail them down to talk about like beer or something like that. When they're not strictly there for promotional purposes. But we like it because we just get to kind of hang out a little bit.
I'm going to tell you, this seems to me like an excuse just to drink. I'm going to tell you, this seems to me that you guys have an excuse to be outside in your smoking rooms. Look, I'm just going to tell you what I see as a guy looking at the evidence.
Trippy's seen through it. Cut his mic off.
It's a chance for you guys to be...
Thank you for watching Sharing Our Pairings.
It's a chance for you guys to be outside in your smoking caves, or in John's case, outside the bathroom at the 7-Eleven, because he looks like he's, look at that. He's like you guys got him... he looks like he should be creating MySpace pages to pick up... Anyway, so it's another chance for you guys to get out of the house. And now you're out of the house. Now what do we do? Well, we had a guest on. We got a guest on tomorrow. What are we doing today? Oh, let's drink. Let's drink and put it on a podcast. Nobody's going to give us any crap. So that's what you're doing. And, it's a good chance for the guys in the armed forces to see you guys drink. Because,
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
No,
Nick.
I'm absolutely not wrong.
And we're here tonight, not just to drink, but to smoke one of your cigars that's from Espinosa. Why don't you talk about the cigar a little bit? I mean, I could talk about it, but you know a lot more than I do.
Well, this is let me see. Very nice. Look at my Vanna White action there. Very nice.
Hold up that gorgeous band.
This is the Murciélago by Espinosa. This is the third iteration of this cigar. And I'm going to tell you, this was from the very beginning. From next month will be 6 years that I've been with Eric. And prior to working with Eric, I knew Eric because I worked for a short time as a clerk at a cigar store. And this was a cigar that they used to call it, well, let's not say what they used to call it, but keep it to our brand. This is a cigar that sold very well in Miami. It really didn't, it didn't get a lot of legs outside of Miami. Yeah, there are stores who have it throughout the States, and it was made by its first manufacturer. But this is a cigar that was very near and dear to his heart. And as soon as we started working together, the first thing he told me, bro, we gotta do this show. First chance we get. But as we were talking about before the show, we didn't know what the blend was. So we tried it after in the first place that we made it during the Espinosa era. We did it at Tavicusa with Amica, who was working for those people before, and he had a familiarity with the blend. It wasn't quite there, but we tried it. We made the effort to put it out, not on a big release, but just for us to try it and smoke it, and put it in a few stores in Miami where they were big there. So after about 2 years that we were on our own, we decided that we're going to do this. So we really we looked at it. We almost went like Dr. Bodden, who does those autopsy shows. We looked at the cigar. We looked at the cigar, and then we took into consideration the person who made it before what did they have available to them at that time frame? So it couldn't have been anything fancy. We were thinking it was so much fancy. It was stuff that was outside the box, where in reality it wasn't. So we got a chance to work on it. We got it down to 2 or 3 blends, and then we nailed it. But the problem was with the cigar, and it had some success, but it was still young. I mean, it was so strong that a lot of guys were, oh, this is not, you hear, this was my biggest problem. Guys would tell you, it doesn't taste like, I have an original one in my humidor, it doesn't taste like it. I tell the guy, you have a 7-year-old cigar in your humidor. Of course it's not going to taste like it. And, and that was, it was a note of frustration for me on many occasions, but he was right. It was a little bit too strong. So when our collaboration started with AJ, it was the first thing that we wanted to do over there, because we know we were going to be working with aged tobacco. And like I was trying to tell you guys, we were talking about prior to the show, we had the blend, because once me and him dissected the cigar, he saw it exactly. It was the blend we were talking about. We put it together and we let it sit an hour, and it was right on. And it tastes like a Murciélago that's been sitting in your humidor a year. That's the best way I can sum it up. And I'm very happy with the cigar. We've changed the packaging. This is the 3rd time, and that does tend to be a dead man walking for a lot of brands when you start to change the packaging. But we're lucky enough that the people who are fans of our stuff and fans of our factory, and most importantly, fans of Eric, have stuck by it and have given it a chance. And I think this is a cigar that you'll see on a lot of you may see on a lot of lists at the end of the year. This cigar is going to make an impact this year. I really have that feeling.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and like we talked about last week with the packaging, I think the packaging on these is way better than the old packaging. Not that the old packaging was terrible or anything.
You mean the filete time box, the first box that was the cardboard box with the fillet, or the red box with that opened up into the wing? Yeah, the red box that opened up into the wings. We thought that was cool. Yeah. But and we thought it was cool. We were so happy, and then we realized it wasn't really. It was cool, but it didn't really work. So we went. Now we're very happy. We went simple, wooden box, clean, and we think the packaging. I think the packaging is a little more attractive, and the band is. I'm going to tell you, the band. You either love the band or you hate the band.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's got like that. It pops because it's got that like I don't know what you would call it, the holographic paper, but then it's like such a simple, elegant design, but you know what it is immediately. It's a bat.
Yeah. So like I said, we're very happy with the cigar. I think it's a cigar that we released it at the show. I think we shipped it. We released it at the show. We started to ship it late August, early September. So it didn't really get into a lot of places till the end of the year. It's winter now. There's 8 feet of snow everywhere, but we know once these snow drifts start to disappear, you'll be seeing it in a lot more places. We're very, very happy with this cigar. Very, very happy.
Same but different, but same.
Same but different, but same.
And let's talk about the blend a little bit for people who haven't smoked it or seen them or haven't smoked the original. What's the blend like? What can people expect?
To me, and everybody's palate's different. I taste cocoa.
Absolutely.
I taste wood. I taste cocoa. I taste raw coffee. Not coffee beans, but maybe coffee grounds. Mm-hmm. It has a rich flavor, and what really makes it what makes it outstanding, I think, is the Mexican wrapper. The Mexican wrapper brings, especially this wrapper. The quality of the wrapper that we're getting at AJ's is better than the quality of wrapper we were getting. AJ's a force in the industry, and we're trying to be a force in the industry, and it's we're on our way. He's there, so he does get a little better quality, and the wrapper really makes a difference. It's it's just so sweet. It just tastes so good, and it's so even. The color is even. It's
and it's so toothy. It's nice. I don't know if my camera can pick it up.
It is toothy.
But it's got that tooth.
It is toothy. I'm very, very happy with it. We have some spillage off camera. We have some spillage off camera here, but we're good. We're doing good. We're doing good.
And it was, we were saying in the green room. I mean, there's no question. You take a single draw right after lighting it up, and you immediately get silky smooth cocoa. And I try to go into it blind, and I said, I mean, this isn't San Andreas, is it? I mean, it tastes. There's no question. Immediately, San Andreas, and like an excellent example of just ideal San Andreas.
Yeah, I agree.
I almost taste that baking chocolate. Is that the one that you use from?
That's kind of a bitter chocolate.
It's a bitter chocolate. It's not sweet chocolate. And it's the hardest part in my years doing this, my few years doing this, because I'm unlike a lot of these guys. I'll tell you, I still feel that I have so much more to learn. I've just been very lucky. My biggest issue is trying to explain what I taste. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have, we're all familiar with that guy who has 25,000 taste buds on his palate. I don't have that many. Unless I start dropping my cigars in my grocery bags, I'm not going to tell you that this cigar tastes of cranberries grown on an eastern bog. I don't have that ability. But I can tell you what I taste. And, I taste this, I taste that. And maybe it's a little simplistic, but I like what I taste, and we're very happy with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But of course, as at the beginning of the show, we talked about drinking a lot, and then we got into cigars a lot. But now we're going to mix those two together. So let's talk about what we've got to drink this evening.
Well, I have, unlike you guys, I have in reserve my friend master brewer Ralph Kaufner here, where I'm doing the remote from his place. Because I figured if I'm gonna drink beer, I can't hang with you three. You don't think I didn't do my homework? I might. You guys forget I have another job, and I'm very good at that job. So I did my research on all of you guys, and like I said, not a single can of Old Milwaukee in any of your fridges. So I know you guys are beer nerds. So I had to go yard. I had to go ham here. So I started drinking. The first beer he gave me.
Well, before you say that, let's talk about the backdrop that you've got here. Talk about where you are a little bit.
Well, I am going to pardon my moving around. Can you grab that, please? Can you grab that before it doesn't spill? Thank you, gentlemen. All right. I am at Kaufner Brewery, as you can see in the background. There's Ralph there. He's probably streaming this on his own Facebook. And I am among tanks and hundreds of gallons of cerveza. All right, cerveza. It is. I'm telling you, if you guys are going to get locked anywhere at night, this is the place. Oh, hold on. Let me show you something else. Let me show you what he brought me. I don't want you guys. I would never be. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy that would make you envious or jealous. But I want you to see what he brought.
Oh my God!
Holy
sweet Jesus!
Wowzers!
Wow. Let me ask you guys a question. Who's your daddy? All right, look at that. Look at that, huh? Look at that.
That's incredible.
I'm telling you, they're very good friends of Eric, and he's become very good friends of mine, and treats us super well here. I mean, this kind of, come on, guys.
Forget about it.
I mean, with the exception of Surgeon, who's happy in his fortress of ice solitude there, wouldn't you guys rather be here?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just trying to move it so I get it comfortable there. There you go. No, bring it back. There you go. All right, I'm back.
All right. So now that you've talked about the backdrop a little bit, I'll let you talk about your beer.
All right, Ralph. Ralph, what am I drinking here? I'm drinking a double back, correct?
So yeah, this is double back.
From
the quintessence of all double backs.
This is the quintessential double back. Okay, this beer has gone so well with this cigar that, first of all, let me just tell you right off the bat, there's going to be Uber tonight. There'll be no driving then. It's gonna be Uber tonight. But this double bock is fantastic. It tastes great. I mean, it just perfectly. These things go. You know what I mean? These two things go. And I hate to say, he's got like another 4 beers lined up for me. So I'm starting with the double bock.
Awesome.
Good choice.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to start with, this is from Mother Earth Brewing Company. I sent one of these to Surgeon while he was. I didn't actually realize the relevance of calling this syntax. And Surgeon was in the Sin City when I sent it to him. But this is from Mother Earth Brewing. They're based in what's the name of the city? Nampa, Idaho. They were founded in 2010. Their goal was to create unique and distinguishable beers. Sorry, my Hector's interrupting my notes here somehow. Like I don't know how. Your little Skype pop-up just keeps popping up right over top of my notes. It's not your fault.
Hector's inside you.
That's a little inside joke from last week's show, guys. Inside to anybody on the internet who's watched the show.
To my good friend Skip.
Yeah. So it started off in a garage, and now they have a 70,000-foot brewing facility, which is enormous. I'd never seen them around here before, but this is Syntax. It's their Imperial Peanut Butter Stout, which is just barely Imperial at 8.1% ABV.
Sessionable.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a session Imperial Stout. And it clocks in at 45 IBUs, so it's got a little bit of backbone. And the grain bill is insane. Pale two-row, chocolate wheat, roasted barley, flaked oats, chocolate malt, medium crystal, black malt, and brown sugar. And then
oats, I like that.
Yeah. And then, of course, the peanut butter, but that's not really part of the grain bill. They're probably adjuncting that rather than actually trying to ferment it. And then the hops are CTZ, which I'm not familiar with. But I'm going to take a couple sips of this. I've had it before, and I feel like it has like that weird too bubbly soda quality where the bubbles are like too large. So I've been letting this warm up for about an hour out of the fridge because I think that it needs to be a little warmer to get that peanut butter flavor. What are you drinking, Dennis? I see taking sips.
That's a beer hack right there. That's a beer hack. I love doing that too. Just let the beer sit for a while. Let it just kind of step into its own realm.
Yeah. So it's got those big bubbles, so I pour it an hour early. I don't just like set the can out because I got to let it just calm down a little bit.
Absolutely. I do the same thing. So my first beer...
Sorry, before we go, we have a viewer question. Stuart, we're smoking the Murciélago, the brand new one for 2017. You should be able to buy them right about now or soon, right, Hector?
Go, literally right now and go buy them. They're good.
Okay.
Yeah, they're out.
You're going to like them.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Dennis. Sorry to cut you off.
No worries. So my first beer is, I'm going to get judged for this probably, but I don't watch Game of Thrones, but this is a Game of Thrones beer. Yeah, Ommegang Brewery makes this, and it's called Winter's Here. So it's a double white Belgian ale, and comes in at 8.3%. And if you guys don't know Ommegang, they come from upstate New York, from Cooperstown, and they're known for their really Belgian, heavy, spicy beers. Classic Belgian to kind of weird off Belgian. They do a great job with that. And this beer is actually brewed with white pepper, sea salt, coriander, and this is the thing that caught me off guard. They brew it with sweet orange peel, which is an interesting distinction. Not a lot of classic Belgian styles generally will go that route. If you're already putting in the white pepper and the coriander, you generally don't put in that orange or the sea salt for that matter, which is pretty cool. And it's a very pretty beer.
Yeah, that's a nice looking beer.
I'm not guessing you need anything.
All right,
John,
why don't you take a couple sips, see what John has.
All right. So I'm going a little classic to start out with, and then we're going to get a little funky. Going with the Liberty Ale from Anchor Brewing Company out of San Francisco.
Nice.
Now,
Finally,
I didn't actually know.
I've heard of.
Oh, yeah, fair
Finally
enough.
a beer I've heard of.
So
All
I actually had not tried it until I went to San Francisco and got it from the source. And both my fiance and I really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of complexity to it. And I didn't know really a lot about Anchor Brewing, but did you know that they were opened in 1871 by Gottlieb Breckel? He bought a saloon and turned it into a brewery. And then in 1896, Ernst Baruth and his son bought it out, renamed it Anchor. So, I mean, it's got a lot of age. Unfortunately, 10 years later, Ernst passed away. 2 months later, earthquake and fire destroyed Anchor, which is really tragic. And then unfortunately more tragedy a year later as they were opening a second location, which is the location today. Ernst's son Otto got ran over by a streetcar. So some real tragedy there. But you know, they've been brewing since 1871, and this beer has been brewed since 1975, and that seems very apropos because I just celebrated my birthday and I was born in 1975, so it all kind of comes together. This comes in at a, you know, quote unquote sessionable for me, 5.9% ABV, so, you know, right in that sweet spot for an ale. But what surprised me was, and I had to hunt for this, it's got 47 IBUs, which is kind of on the high side for an ale, and they've talked about that. They don't have a lot of complexity for hops going on. It's just using a 2-row pale malt, Cascade hops, and then they do a dry hopping with a Cascade hops with top fermented yeast. So it gives it a lot of effervescence, and that hoppy quality comes through as that kind of fresh citrusy hops. And so far it's working really well. As you can see, I've, you know, been doing some damage here. And I think it kind of reminds me a little bit of Terry's Chocolate Orange. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to try Terry's Chocolate Orange.
Yes.
But that sort of baking chocolate off the Murciélago, which is that, like, you know, core classic chocolate, not milk chocolate, just goes brilliantly with the citrus because they play off of each other. And you know, I think that citrus really super fires the cocoa, that powdered chocolate off of the wrapper. So it's so far so good.
Wow, 1876. I think that's wow. That's I think Coop was a freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
In 1876. That's you know, I see you guys are talking. You know, if you give me a second, Ralph, the double block. What was the alcohol and the ABUs and the IB? I want these guys love all that. I want to help you guys out. Yes, hold on. Here you go. Hold on.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, what's up? Ralph Kaufner here. Very nice to meet you guys. Very glad to hear and see you. It's an amazing experience for me. Well, first of all, before we're gonna go to explanation which beer is what, I want to tell that I'm fully in love with this guy, Hector. By my personal opinion, this guy, he's genius. He's genius. His life genius, and he's doing amazing things for industry. And I was extremely surprised when I find out that he used to do his brewing stuff. He has a big home brewing experience that he's been doing for years, and he knows beers really well. There's not too many people, unfortunately, as a cigar blenders, not in the cigar industry, but as a cigar blenders who knows who knows beers as well as he knows. So when we met together first time, we came up with an amazing project that we infused some cigar leaves into the beer. So we put in a second fermentation rum barrels, some warhead leaves from Nicaragua, right? And then ferment all together. So to see what's going to be the result. The result came out amazing. Besides the fact that the beer get a lot of interesting flavors from the cigar leaf and has some bunch amount of nicotine on that. The wild bacteria that been sitting
little vitamin N.
Absolutely, the wild bacteria that been sitting on the leaves itself. We never sanitize that leaf, so the reason we would drop that leaves right away into the beer. So all that wild bacteria flora that been sitting on the leaves became alive and turned that beer interesting, give a lot of interesting tart flavors and make it kind of a dark sour beer. That was amazing results. We're going to repeat that with certain different tobaccos later on. So far, yeah, as about Doppelbock. So what we're trying to do is, as a brewery, we're trying to revitalize the old school recipes that have been discovered hundreds of years ago and trying to bring them as is without our, own vision of that style. And we replicating even the water profile. So we have a big badass water system here with a 7-step filtration So we're bringing beer, first of all, water, which is more than 90% of the ingredients of the beer.
Yeah.
We're bringing it to 7 pH, to absolutely neutral pH level, running through 7 different filtration steps. And then after that, we're replicating the water profile from around the world and trying to find out what was the water profile years ago, 120, 150 years ago in different places around the world. So the Doppelbock is the Munich water profile, have a 7.2 pH with all right amount of ions, salts, as it was years ago. So then we have all the grain bill that is supposed to be, the way it's supposed to be, and we have a great German lager yeast that we use to ferment that beer. So I believe for 99.9% that we revitalize the old school recipe, like the quintessence of Doppelbocks. So this is what we have right here. Another rare recipe that I want to pair that amazing Murciélago stick with is Dunkel Oktoberfest beer. So usually, as you know, Oktoberfest is the pale beer. So this one is a dark style of Oktoberfest beer. That's pretty much rare, and you can find it in North Germany provinces, North German style. It's more malty. It has less roasty and coffee aromas, less chocolate, unlike Doppelbock, because Doppelbock full of roasted malts, and have a lot of caramel, chocolate flavors. So this one more on the malt side. So this one is a malty dark beer. And the third beer is want to pair this amazing stick with is oatmeal coffee stout.
Nice.
I don't have to explain.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to explain it too much. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with this style. So this is what we're gonna do today. So thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. Stay with Kaufner and with Hector.
Thanks, Rolf.
All right. Be honest with me, guys. How many of you guys have some wood right now?
Oh man,
Sammy.
I'm pumped. I am pumped.
You got a little beer wood, don't you?
Yeah, the thought of the like tobacco infused beer is really interesting to me. I really want to try that.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna send you guys some beer. He's already given me some beers to send you guys. When he told me that he has a water system that he can, you go back and what was the level of what type of water they had in whatever part of Bavaria or Czechoslovakia. He matches that. That's outrageous, man.
That's my kind of obsessive.
I was talking a few weeks ago about how Stone Brewing recently opened, or I guess a couple of years ago, opened a brewery in Richmond, Virginia. And the water was too pure. It didn't have enough mineral content. And so none of the beers tasted right. So they spent like a year and a half brewing beer with all these different additives and stuff to try to match the flavor of the water content.
Well, I think the hardest part here is our water's awful. Our water's awful here. So he has to take our water and then zero it out and then infuse it back. He gave me a glass of water one day. We were here unknowing. I go, let me have you want water? It was kind of hot. It's Florida. It's Florida in the summer. And he gave me the purest water. If water tasted like that all the time, I would drink water. I'd probably be 100 pounds lighter. It's delicious. Just the most delicious water I've ever had in my life. All right, guys. Beer it up, man. Beer it up. Come on, guys.
Before I talk about my first pairing, how it tastes, how it goes with the cigar, we're just going to take a quick break from one of our sponsors because we're real late on that. But we got plenty of time, so that's fine. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Gurkha Cigars. Gurkha Cigars, makers of the world's finest cigars. Try the 93 rated Heritage featuring Rosado, Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and Dominican, Pennsylvanian, and Nicaraguan fillers. Blended by Gurkha's blending team at American Caribbean Cigars, it is hand-rolled Nicaraguan, available in 35-count boxes. Talk to your local B&M about the Heritage today, or talk to them about other fine Gurkha cigars. Whatever your taste preferences, Gurkha has a cigar that's right for you.
All right, we're back.
You will be.
All right, and we're back. I'm going to talk about my first pairing here. So the syntax, and I'm just realizing I'm a real dummy that this is it's a play on words like syntax.
Yeah, that's cool.
I didn't even think about that.
That's what we call it up here, you know. Like when we talk about in Canada, well, specifically Alberta, all the beer and tobacco tax, we actually call it sin tax.
No, not a sin tax.
Oh,
a syntax.
like sin tax. Yeah, I got you.
Like getting words in the correct order and stuff like that.
I got you.
Which, working with code, that's something I see that word every day, and it just occurred to me.
Don't you?
I know. I'm not. I don't claim to be a smart man. So the peanut butter and like chocolatey roastiness of the beer brings out so much chocolate in the cigar. Like it's a chocolatey, spicy chocolate bar. It's delicious. How about your first pairing, Dennis?
Man, you know, this beer plays off so well on the cigar. The coriander comes out and balances that, like you said, baking spice, that bitter chocolate flavor. What I'm getting, because I think it must be the coriander, I'm getting this almost like birchwood. Like when you first light a piece of birch and it starts burning and it has that kind of slight smoke to it, but it's still sort of sweet. That's exactly what I'm getting out of the cigar, and it's awesome.
That sounds delicious. How about you, John?
This first pairing is working really well. I wouldn't say it's an excellent pairing, but I do like the contrast of the, like I said, the flavors of the San Andreas with the sort of sweetness of the malt off the ale, and then you got that citrus component to it from the hops. It's a nice combination. It's actually bringing out a lot more of the cedar post draw than what I was initially getting when I started up. So I'm starting to get a really nice cedar between draws, and every time I sort of take a draw, take a couple sips, that cedar kind of lingers a little bit more. So I think it's intensifying that for me, which is really nice.
I'm going to tell you guys, of all the beers, I'm not a huge peanut butter guy. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd like but the double white that Dennis is drinking, that sounds awfully appealing. That sounds awfully appealing.
It's fantastic. It's such a good beer.
And I'm a huge Game of Thrones bum too, so I mean that can't hurt either. You know, that can't hurt either.
I feel so bad. I know nothing about Game of Thrones. I know it's kind of cool and people like it.
You gotta start watching it, bro.
Yeah, you gotta get on that, dog.
Gotta.
Come on, man. You gotta. It's got deceit, killing, nudity. What else do you want? I mean, everything.
Dragons, decapitations,
all of my
dragons.
It's perfect.
Dragons and tits.
Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to say that, man. They told me you can't say that. All right.
How did the Doppelbock go with the Murciélago?
I was telling you, the Doppelbock to me, as I was drinking it, it tasted like it was just meant to be with the cigar. There was no conflict. It was very smooth. It's I taste a little chocolate here. I taste a little of that in the beer. It's like it enhanced. This might sound weird, but I think the beer enhanced the flavor of the cigar. Or
that doesn't sound weird at all.
They may have had
very common,
but almost like they had the same. But almost like they had the same notes. I could taste this. I could taste this. I didn't taste any woody flavor in the beer, but I did taste that bitter chocolate. The coffee notes. It was there. I'm telling you, I've got another beer to pair, but I'm kind of wish I had it. Well, I will be drinking another one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I will be having another one later. So. I mean, if anything, there's beer here, so I'll be fine.
Yeah, you're not going to run out.
I'm not going to run out of beer anytime soon.
All right, let's move on to our second pairings here. I'm going to talk about mine first. So this, I just bought it at a grocery store because it sounded interesting. And being in Portland, Oregon, we get real weird beers all over the place. It's very easy to find something that's like a single production like this. So this is from Mazama Brewing. They're down in Corvallis, Oregon. And this is part of their experimental IPA series. So they're working on a juicy IPA, and this is the third iteration of that trial. So I think they're just kind of trying different hops to see what works best. And there's not a lot of information on them. I couldn't even find out like when they were founded or anything. So I don't know much about Mazama. I know that they focus on Belgian and American styles and mixing them together, which is a kind of a common theme around here, where you see lots of breweries that have a bunch of Belgian pales, and also they have ultra hoppy triple IPAs. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird part of the culture around here, but it's a pretty nice looking, kind of hazy golden colored. It looks a little more yellow on camera, but it's kind of light orange. So I'm going to take a couple sips of this and let Dennis talk about his next.
He's drinking an IPA.
My next pairing is a beer that initially, when I had the first one, I didn't really like it too much, and I gave it a little time, I revisited it, and I realized I actually do really like it, and it's an awesome beer. It's a little weird, like with many beers from this company. This beer is called Decoy, and it comes from Carton Brewing in New Jersey, and it comes in 12%, which is pretty formidable. That's a solid beer, and so they call this Decoy because this beer was inspired by the 5-spice duck. That's really, people love 5-spice duck, right? So they took Szechuan red peppercorns, they took coriander, they took lavender flowers. They added all this stuff in. They added honey, Belgian candy sugar. They threw an ale yeast on top of it, and they made this. And it's really nice. And I think I started to like it more because it got colder outside. Oddly enough, winter, warmer, cold weather, it's kind of fits, right? So nice and dark. I mean, this is a kind of beer that I love to drink. Even though I drink a lot of IPAs, I love dark beers. It's spicy and sweet and just not overbearing, which is good. It's a nice, easy drinking beer. As much as 12% can be.
Yeah, I was going to say 12% isn't usually that easy drinking.
It's the new session, right?
It's the new session. For my second beer of the night, I've gone with a brand new brewery. We're kind of, our brew culture in Alberta is really kicking off sort of the second wave, which is nice, pushing back some of the traditional offerings that have been here, and it's nice to see. So this brewery has only been open literally since August of 2016, opened in Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Wow.
And this is the Ghost Train, and there's a lot of trains around Alberta, and there's some folklore about ghost trains flying through the night. This is an oatmeal stout. I'll hold it up so everyone can.
Is a ghost train kind of like a night train?
A little bit, yeah. It's a little bit, little different.
At Dennis's hat.
Yeah. Guns N' Roses, yeah.
So the brewery is called Hell's Basement, and the name comes from actually Rudyard Kipling, who traveled across Canada, and he has. I'll just quickly read it off, but his quote was for Medicine Hat. He said, "This part of the country seems to have all hell for a basement, and the only trap door appears to be a Medicine Hat. And you don't even think of changing the name of your town. It's all your own, and it's the only kind of hat of its kind on Earth." They started with 6 people. Their brewmaster is Mike G, and the Ghost Train is, like I said, it's an oatmeal stout. You can see it's a little bit thinner, so it's not as thick and viscous as you would expect, like an Imperial oatmeal stout. 5.7% ABV, and they make it in collaboration with Station Coffee Company and Bean There Roasting. So I'm going to take some sips. It's unfortunately really bad weather for an oatmeal stout because it's really too cold, and I'm really struggling to pick up some of the notes. So I'm trying to warm it up here, but. What do you got going on for your second beer there, Hector?
Ralph brought me this is his Oktoberfest that he brewed and released in October. He still has some here on tap for his locals. And much lighter than the excuse me. I just got something in UP. I just got something in UP. I got something on FedEx.
Boot time.
Boot time. Das Boot. This is my tribute to the German submarine. I'll be drinking this in a second. Hold on. Hold that, my good man. Compared to the Dunkel that I had earlier, it's much lighter. I see some red in it. Now this one kind of is a little contradictory to the cigar. Maybe in the order that I drank them, maybe that was my mistake. As a novice, I should have probably had this one first. There's a little less, the flavors are a little bit lesser. It's a little less viscous, as you were talking about. Has great taste. A little more malty. Kind of now I don't want to say I'm fighting with the cigar, but it has its own distinctness where the other one kind of went hand in hand with the cigar. And I don't know what's in that boot. But while you guys were talking about your third beer, I may be hammered. So I'm just going to let you guys know right ahead. I may start saying all kinds of crazy stuff in a little while. So go ahead. But this is, I should have probably had this one first. It's very nice. It's got a reddish tint to it. Oktoberfest, usually it's people wait all year for this, and it's almost February, and I'm still drinking Oktoberfest. Can't go wrong with that.
So for my Mazama experimental, and I forgot to mention it's 7%
What a nice
ABV.
label.
Can I ask you? That's an
a
IPA.
really nice label.
Drinking an IPA and smoking such a dark cigar. Are you having any conflict with that, or?
So what I've found is I thought IPAs could not really go with most cigars. I feel like a really dry, spicy Habano wrapper can go well, or maybe like a Corojo, something that's got a touch of sweetness, but mostly like that kind of dry spice that sticks to your palate can go well with something really hoppy. But then juicy and Northeast style IPAs started making their way out here. And I find the sweetness of them and the fruitiness actually goes really well with the cigar.
When you were talking about that beer earlier, did you mention it had some kind of special hops to it, or maybe
So the hops in this one are Amarillo, Columbus, and Mosaic. Mosaic is really big.
Amarillo, Colombo, and Mosaic hops.
Columbus.
Okay, interesting.
And Mosaic.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's weird because, like, smelling it smells like grapefruit, papaya, and mango. Like, it's just
the papaya.
Love that style.
It's none of like that floral hoppiness. It's just all fruit, and then with the cigar, it cuts the sweetness of the cigar a little bit, and it brings out some of those woody notes. How about yours, Dennis?
It sounds really good. For me, I don't know if I can't tell if it's the spice of the beer, or honestly, maybe it's the fact that it's 12%. But I'm getting these like funky nutmeg flavors.
You have been kind of quiet there. I don't want to say anything, but you have been kind of quiet.
I'm getting some really nice nutmeg flavors out of this cigar, and I'm just digging it. Very cool. I think it could be actually the Belgian candy sugar as well. Because it's almost like that caramelized sweetness that comes out. John, what about you?
So, two things are going wrong here. Number one, it is way too cold outside to be drinking this oatmeal stout. This oatmeal stout needs to be like 15 degrees, maybe even 20 degrees warmer. So I think some of the subtleties of the oatmeal stout are really being run over. Secondly, the Murciélago, I wouldn't say the flavors are incredibly intense, but it's intense enough that the oatmeal stout does not, at this temperature, have enough to stand up to it. The good news is that the sort of dark chocolate is just getting supercharged. So like when I take a puff, as soon as the puff goes away, it's like I just bit into like 70% or 75% cacao. So like just intense dark chocolate with a little bit of trailing bitterness, and then right into cedar. I can't taste the beer at all. I can't taste the oatmeal. I can't taste the malts. I can't taste the coffee. But like I said, I think a lot of that is just a factor of it's far too cold outside, and this beer needs to be at least 15 degrees, maybe even 20 degrees freedom warmer in order to pick up some of the notes there.
He said that so calmly too. There are two things wrong going on here.
One,
very cool.
I'm hypothermic.
One, I can't feel my nether region.
Okay.
Anthony Rasicki, I got behind on the comments because I had to refresh. He says, first of all, the Laranja goes really well with Citra hops, which I could actually see the Laranja going really well with something that's not overly hoppy, because you don't want to have like that palate burn that you get from like a double IPA. But I could see it going with something that's got more of that like citrusy, floral kind of hoppiness. And he also says John needs a beer warmer to keep his beer warm instead of a koozie to keep it.
I'm not worried about my hands. I got to keep my beer warm. You know,
it's like
priorities.
Coffee cup, one of the little coffee cup warmers to put your beer on.
Yeah, like
cool.
Heated cozy.
That'd be cool. That's very cool.
All right, we ready to move on to our last pairings? All right. So this one is a little special to me just because it's something that a year ago I couldn't get even an ounce of unless I got it from out of state. This is Founder's Backwoods Bastard.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I've never had even a sip of it. So that's coming my way very shortly. So Founders, for anybody who's been living under a rock for 20 years, was founded in 1997 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just read within the last week, I think it was on Friday or so, they've officially overtaken Bell's and they're now the largest brewery in Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's crazy. And
wow, we just lost Trippy.
Oh, man.
All right. You want to...
Oops.
Yeah, don't hang up on yourself there.
There he is.
Hold on, let me fix a couple things here. Oh, I'll fix it during the break. Man, my video's not working. Everything's weird. There we go. Everything's back to normal.
Oh, look at that.
Sorry about that. I was thinking about the Backwoods Bastard and got a little fidgety.
Got so excited.
Yeah, I just got so excited.
Beerwood.
So they make Founders, what is it called? KBS, Kentucky Breakfast Stout, that people are in love with and is impossible to find. My local beer shop, which I think is where I got this, I believe, they got 6 6-packs, 1 case, and they sold it in less than an hour at 11 a.m. on Christmas.
Yeah,
that's how in demand it is here. On Christmas, people left their families to go buy this beer.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. But this is an offshoot of that. It's part of their barrel age series, as you can see right here. It's got this grumpy looking old guy on the front. So this is a Scotch ale that they make that is aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels. And I'm very excited to try it. I forgot to note the details on it, but it may not say. Oh, it does. It's 11.21% ABV.
Woo!
And
yep,
Dennis is gonna have company.
Wowzers.
Oh, I had so many of those back to back to back. I can't even tell you. 40 ounces easy.
Wow. So this is the
so good
2017 edition. This is one of those beers that if you bought a 6-pack, you just stashed it in your liquor cabinet for a month, or not a month, for 5 years, and it would still be good. So I'm going to try this out and let you guys talk about what you're drinking. So Dennis, why don't you go first again?
That's such a solid beer. I love it. My last pairing is a little bit, kind of basic, subdued, but still nice, solid. Many of you guys may know this. Basil Hayden's.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Straight bourbon whiskey, right? And Basil Hayden's is pretty cool, and I don't know if many people know about this, but Basil Hayden's actually made by Jim Beam. Mm-hmm. And it's part of their small batch series, and so that fits Booker's, that fits Baker's, and also, I'm trying to think of what the third one was. Knob Creek, there you go. Yeah. So Basil Hayden's was introduced back in 1992, and they their recipe for this particular one out of all the 4 was to be more rye forward. So it's the classic kind of bourbon, 51% corn, and then more rye than sort of you would expect. It's an easy drinker. It's great and neat, but it's also really good if you want to mix it with something. If you want to make an old fashioned, it's really tasty.
Oh no.
No.
I had a flashback of Juan Cancel at IPC.
Oh, man.
Don't let him stir your drink.
Any flashback that involves Juan.
He made some old fashions in Nicaragua, and he stirred it with his finger. And these guys came back, and 7 of them got sick. And I said that Wong took out more people in Nicaragua than Zika did. It was just crazy. But he when I went to IPCPR, he gave me 3 old fashions within a span of 10 minutes, and I don't remember what happened the rest of that night.
I can only imagine.
I got pretty lit, but I only get lit one night a week. One night at the IPCPR. It was Happy Hector night. But when you say old fashioned, it was like, wow.
Oh man.
Look, the hair on my arms are standing up. Just the thought of that.
All right. So for my third and last beer of the night, going with a new brewery in Alberta. Love pretty much everything they've put out. This is Troubled Monk. They're located in Red Deer, Alberta, Troubled Monk. So as they say, this is Red Deer is really the heart of barley country in Alberta because we grow a crap ton of barley here. They only opened in June of 2015. They try to use Canadian hops whenever possible, and the majority of the malts that they use are from Alberta. This is called the Cosmic Autumn Rybellion. Now, they say the style is Indian Pale Ale. It's 6.75% ABV, 67 IBUs. Now, I had to go hunting for that. Fortunately, all that information is on Untapped, and it's got a really nice...
That is an IPA?
That's an IPA. That's a dark-looking IPA.
Right?
I would call it a black IPA.
Right?
A black IPA, yeah. That's
I mean, when you nose this, the rye, it's
with rye.
If I didn't know any better, I would say that they had aged this in a rye barrel because, I mean, you just get, it is so rye forward off the nose. I mean, it tastes like they had aged this in a rye barrel, but it has not been aged in a rye barrel. So I'm looking forward. This is funky territory, so it should be interesting. What about you, Hector? What do you got lined up with your giant boot?
Well, no, the giant boot is the double bock that he brought me back.
Okay.
If you mention a beer here, the next thing you know, it's in front of you. So I've got to be quiet.
That's the after dark beer.
Yeah,
that's the afterwards. But I've been trying to cleanse my palate with it. So the last beer, if I'm not mistaken, this is the oatmeal coffee stout that he was talking to you guys about. I don't have the detail. What's the
fresh roasted coffee from the local coffee roasters?
With fresh roasted coffee from local coffee brewers here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm a little north of Miami. Brazilian coffee. So I haven't even tried it yet. Wow. Yeah.
That's all you gotta say.
Yeah, that's and you know what? I bet you this beer is warmer than yours, John.
Guaranteed.
This beer is just
guaranteed.
This is wonderful. I mean, I'm gonna get all these details for you guys, and I'll I know Ralph tried to talk this a couple of minutes ago, but this is so smooth. It's not thick. It doesn't have none of that bitterness that you associate with a stout. But the coffee, after I put the beer down, I taste, that cold coffee, you let your coffee sit and then you go grab it and, and I've started to drink my coffee black, which is hard for me because we're café con leche drinkers here. We're coffee and milk people as part of our culture. So when I started working with Eric and started going to Nicaragua, I started to learn to drink coffee black. Nicaraguan coffee is very good. And, but you ever drank it when it's cold? It's been sitting for half an hour and you forgot and you grabbed it. And that's the finish. I'm tasting beer at the beginning and a finish of coffee. It's actually, you guys go ahead and discuss. I'll just,
You're just gonna be over there drinking that?
Yeah, it's interesting that using Brazilian coffee because I tend to find
freshly roasted, drink coffee, cold brewed and infused.
Cold brewed infused, gentlemen. Cold brewed infused.
See, I tend to find,
John?
Yeah, Brazilian coffee for me tends to be a lot fruitier, which is nice. So I think that's an interesting choice because I think a lot of roasters tend to use, if they use coffee stout or coffee oatmeal stout, they use a really heavy, earthy coffee. And I often find that that's the wrong way to go because you're getting so much of that from the malts that if you use a very bright coffee, that brings the coffee a little bit more and it removes a lot of that bitterness. So you're getting a little bit more fruit and a little bit more of the coffee intensity without bringing any more bitterness to the stout. So that's a really interesting combination.
It's a very nice. It's nice, yes. It's
nice.
It's nice. It's very nice.
So the Backwoods
Sounds
Bastard.
like my uncle.
This beer is like blowing me away. This is so good.
Dude, how amazing is that beer?
Oh, it's so good. It's got that viscousness that like you kind of expect out of something that's barrel aged that's somehow not always there. But then it's got a lighter body because it's a Scotch ale. You're getting more flavor from the bourbon than you would get in like a barrel aged stout. And I mean, it's just sweet and syrupy and delicious and like a bitterness that sticks on your palate a little bit with like that, I don't know, that burnt oak barrel flavor. And it kills the spice from the cigar entirely, but it brings out so much like sweet baking chocolate. Like it's the same kind of powdered dark chocolate cocoa kind of flavor we were talking about before, but it's got so much more body to the chocolatey flavor and so much more sweetness. I'm really surprised by how well it goes with the cigar.
Are you okay with it cutting? Letting it that beer lets you guys concentrate on the back part or the back half of the cigar.
Yeah, I like that. So that's one of the things I really like about doing the show that I didn't realize until I started doing the show. There are pairings that go really well with the first third that fall off partway through, and there are pairings like this that go better with the final third. And this is absolutely one of those beers that, like, when I'm halfway through the cigar, I want to start drinking this beer, because it goes really well with that, like, the ramped up intensity of the cigar, and I just really like this pairing. Yeah, I'm a fan of this pairing. Like, I don't have words for it. It's like messing with my head.
You can't even.
I can't even.
I can't even, man. I can't even.
But we're going to take a quick break because I'm late on the break once again, and I'm going to have to do a bunch of editing to get this episode ready for AFRN. We'll be right back.
This show is sponsored by Cigar Oasis. Don't spend all your time worrying about your cigar wrappers cracking, splitting, or falling apart from humidity fluctuation issues. Set it and forget it by choosing Cigar Oasis, a professional solution which provides equal distribution of humidity with precise electronic controls. Monitor your cigars through the internet using the Smart Humidor Wi-Fi attachment. Why don't you spend all your time enjoying your cigars and relaxing, and let Cigar Oasis protect your cigars? Cigar Oasis has solutions for any humidor. Make sure you set it and forget it today.
Man, every time we go on break, Hector gets talking, and then I don't even notice when the ad's over. So I'm sorry about the couple seconds of black. Dennis, why don't you talk about how your pairing went?
First of all, I have to say this cigar must be laced with cocoa. It has to be. It's just the flavor is so pure. It's insane. I think that's your secret. You got to infuse it, right? It's so good. It's insanely good. And what's even better is Basil Hayden's. For me, like I don't think I've ever been this excited on a pairing show with a choice of a drink and the cigar. Man, this Basil Hayden's, to me, is like, and I know you said before you had a bad history with old fashions, but I think the cigar really brings the body to the old fashioned, and Basil Hayden's brings that citrus and a little bit of that sweetness and a little bit of the almost like the tartness from the cherry. If you get good cherries, you get a nice tart cherry in your old fashioned.
Those
or like
Sardos.
a soaked, yes, exactly. And man, this stuff with the cigar is phenomenal. It brings out all the cocoa flavors of the cigar, doesn't take away at all, and makes everything pop.
To me, Basil
Awesome
Hayden's
stuff.
drinks a little bit like a Manhattan that's already been mixed. It's got like that amped up sweetness that you don't usually get in a bourbon.
Oh, it does. You're right. It's a good point. And I wonder if maybe the rye bill kind of plays off of that. John, what do you think for your last pairing? How do you like it?
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've gone from contrasting to complementary to contrasting. And, there's a million different pairings I could have done with this cigar. And I know that there's some easy pairings, coffee, Zacapa. Those are all, those are laydowns. And I wanted to go in a different route to try and push the envelope. And I think this Rybellion really pushes the envelope because for me, it's almost completely changed the flavor of the cigar. So that cocoa that's been so intense up until now, the sweetness from the Rybellion is running over the cocoa. And so what I get instead is I get really intense spice now off this cigar. And the cedar has this, like when you taste cedar, you can get like a dry cedar, you can get a sweet cedar. And so I'm getting really intense spices and really sweet cedar off the cigar, which is a completely different flavor profile than what I was getting with the first two beers. And it's funky and I like it. It's it's definitely taking the flavor profile in a different direction. But it's interesting and I'm enjoying it. And it's interesting to bring something different out of the cigar that I wasn't getting before. Hector, what about you?
I tell you, I mean, unfortunately, I have no more Oktoberfest to talk about. Oh, no, Ralph, no more Oktoberfest. If there's one here on this thing, I think in retrospect, if we could do this all over again, it would have been the second beer I had. I found it, I enjoyed it a little more than the Oktoberfest. There was more to it. There was more body to it. But this one, it was a little scaled down, but the cigar kind of overpowered it. I think there was more to the cigar than there was this, sir? The Oktoberfest. No, but I was looking for the milk stout. I was looking for the milk stout. It's okay. The Oktoberfest was very good. The milk stout had a good flavor, but it didn't. I don't know if it was the right cigar. I don't know if it was the right beer in the right order for the cigar, but still very complimentary. But just, I think I screwed this up. That Dunkel was just, I think, of all of them, the double bock was the superior one. But I'm just tasting a lot of Murciélago tonight. I don't know. Maybe it's me, and I drank an awful lot of beer, guys. This is an awful lot of beer for me. So.
That's what happens when you're smoking in a brewery.
Hey, don't hate, guys. I mean,
and you're infusing. You're doing them a favor. You're infusing some of those vats behind you with a little bit of that Murciélago flavor.
He smokes more than me, probably. He's hold on. Some has made its way to my hand. Hold on a second.
Ah, there you go. The beer fairy has arrived.
The beer fairy has arrived. Yeah, it's just a little lighter, complementary flavors, but just not enough that it changes the cigar. I still taste a lot of cigar. That makes sense?
Yeah. Chico Ray wants to know if any of us have ever smoked a cigar and paired it with white chocolate. I don't think I have.
Actually, I think you have once.
White. Okay, I have one.
in country.
Oh.
And I didn't taste any cigars for 7 hours after that.
Yeah,
really?
Sorry, buddy.
No, not actually that. Like,
it wasn't the chocolate.
Like heat resistance. Like I can do pretty well. Like since then, I actually bought a bar of that chocolate, and I just eat a little bit every now and then. And Carolina Reaper is one of those weird peppers where it's crazy hot, but then it doesn't last that long. I find ghost pepper sticks to my palate.
Yeah, ghost pepper kind of gets in your palate, and it just kind of sits and stews and sits.
Makes a little home, sets up a campsite, and just hangs out for a while. But Carolina Reaper, crazy hot, and it doesn't linger as much.
Yeah.
Ghost pepper, internet bullies you. Just stays there. The internet bullies you. I got you. I feel you.
There, posting on your Facebook wall all night long.
Tweeting at 2 in the morning. How's that consensus now? You enjoying that consensus?
Yeah.
Fun.
I've never. This seems to be a very popular cigar. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead, John.
So
you're trolling me, John. John's trolling me slowly. He's trolling me a little bit. I'm trying to be good, man.
Lighting the fire.
He's trying to troll me, man. I'm trying to be good, man. I'm trying to be good.
Pushing those buttons.
Yeah, you are.
So this rebellion, I mean, this is really interesting. And like I said, I wanted to go in a different direction because I know, especially with a lot of Espinosa cigars, there's so many pairings that work really well. I wanted to go contrasting. I think contrasting is interesting and fun, and you can kind of push the envelope of pairing. And I think this rebellion definitely pushes the envelope for me. And it's probably the most interesting pairing of the night. Maybe not the necessarily the quote unquote best pairing of the night, but it's mostly the interesting pairing of the night because that rye spicy quality really brings out different flavors in the cigar that I was getting with the first two beers. It's working really well for me to sort of move out of the comfort zone of what would typically be paired.
I mean, so to speak in the name of contrasting pairings, I do believe in contrasting pairings. I think contrasting pairings are not always better, but can be better. Because with a complementary pairing, usually it's either, it has the potential to just cover up flavors entirely. But usually it covers up a couple flavors and it amps up some flavors that you're already getting. With a contrasting pairing, you end up getting those flavors like that sweet cedar that you don't necessarily notice when you're not pairing or when you're pairing with something complementary.
And I mean, this cigar has so much flavor going on that, and I think the oatmeal stout would have been a different beast at room temperature, but I think I wouldn't go with an oatmeal stout only because the cigar brings so much of that character to the flavor map. Why would I want to compete with that? You know what I mean? Like, I want to fill out the flavor map with something else and see where that takes it. Because, I mean, you've got coffee, you've got chocolate, you've got cedar, you've got all that in the cigar. You know, you got to fill out the flavor map, in my mind, with something else to try and play with those different combinations.
I'm finding with the Backwoods Bastard, the oakiness and the sweetness is bringing out a ton of that dry cedar flavor that I wasn't noticing that as much before. But I'm going to go back through my other pairings and see how they do after sitting for a little while and after I'm down into the final third of the cigar now.
I'm actually smoking pretty slow for once. I'm trying to savor the cigar as much as I can.
I was actually just thinking that right before you said that while I was talking.
Look, I'm not even really that far. I mean, by now, normally I'd be done.
Yeah. I might be smoking faster than you, even.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think so.
I'm on my second cigar, guys. So you guys are doing fine.
You beat all of us.
I had a head start too, but I'm on my second cigar already. So we're doing good. If I'm already revisiting my first pairing, and to me that's it. That's the one. That's the one. You make this year round, right? Well, when you come, it'll be here. I'm not,
I was just talking to my wife the other day. At some point, we have to make a trip to Miami, even if it's just for a couple days.
Plus, he makes a Laranja beer. He made a beer at Lozona-Palooza. He brewed a beer that we had at Lozona-Palooza, which was it was called Trigo de Laranja. It was a beautiful ale, a red Belgium ale. It had the blood orange peels in it. A little bit of was it honey? What did you? Little maple syrup in it.
Maple syrup. Oh man, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, that beer went. That beer. Can we have one kind of Trigo, please? That beer really, really went at the at Lozona-Palooza. The sour wasn't for everybody. Not everybody. Not the complaint, but the commentary in the sour was, bro, there's a lot of nicotine in that. There's something in that beer, man. But that Laranja hit the point on everybody. Everybody had something to do with that beer. They really, really liked that beer. But another cigar for another time.
We got Juan Cancel in the comments here blowing it up.
Oh yeah.
First of all, he says he thought John was at Puro Sabor. John and I had both put Puro Sabor on our calendar and weren't able to make it work, unfortunately. And we're both very jealous of everybody who's there.
I thought you guys were too.
Pictures.
I wish we were. You guys were too because of some pictures. Yeah, I saw a picture. I thought you guys were online. And what did I tell you? If you ask for it, it shows. Here's the Laranja beer.
He also says he wants to shout out Protocols Porter. I don't remember the name of the company making that.
I haven't had that, but I saw that I think they debuted that at their Fat Ash Bash a week or so ago, and I heard it's very, very good. And that's my favorite type of beer, porter. I love porter. I really do.
And his final comment for the moment is simply Lozona is blowing up, and they really are, which is good because Lozona makes very, very, very good cigars.
Actually, you got him behaving. He's behaving. If that's all you got from him, he's doing. He must be working.
He must not have any old fashions.
He must be working. Yeah. He must be working because that's. I'll tell you what. That he is a character. He is a character, and I'm very happy. If I can, for a second, tell you, I'm very happy. Like I told you guys last week, I'm very happy for the success that we had, but I'm very happy for their success. Because these are two guys who came to the show 3 years ago, hoping to open 20 accounts. You know, and their worst case scenario was if we don't sell any cigars, we have cigars to smoke for the rest of our lives. Which is not true either, because nobody. Have you ever seen these two guys smoke? These guys smoke. These guys these guys can put it down. I thought Tim Wong was the master of putting cigars down. These guys can put cigars down. So I'm very happy for them, and we're hoping many good things for them. They've got to what they need to do is just enjoy this year, because they've had a really good year.
Yeah, they've had a really good year. They were high on a lot of lists. It's I mean, they're just doing really good, putting out good cigars.
I mean, for me personally, my favorite moment was to hear their name, or to hear them on the consensus.
Yes.
And to have to hear the name of it, I'm good. I don't have to do anything the rest of the year. I'm good.
All right, I got to take a couple sips of my IPA here, because that one I've been. So the Syntax, my stout that I'm almost out of here, it's a lot more bitter now. I don't know if it's the cigar making it taste bitter, or if it's just that it's warmed up and more of those hops have come out, because it is 45 IBUs.
What about the two other beers you had? I mean, could the two other beers that you had played a little?
Yeah, it could be
some habit with your palate. Yeah,
that's absolutely possible. But I'm just not getting as much of the sweetness and the peanut butteriness that I was before. So that one, it worked really well for the first third. It's not working as well for the final third right now. So I'm going to try this IPA. Dennis, how are your pairings going?
I was just thinking about it, and honestly, I want to say from the first third to the final third of the cigar, probably Basil Hayden's is going to be my favorite. And at the beginning, I had the double white, the Belgian double white, and I thought it was such a great pairing. And it's really good for the first third. Unfortunately, the flavors kind of fall out toward the end of the cigar. As the cigar kind of becomes a little bit more flavorful, more powerful, the flavors fell out. And the Decoy, which was my winter warmer, it sort of it kind of just didn't complete the cigar as well as I hoped it would initially when I first had it, and that was around the second third of the cigar. So definitely Basil Hayden's, nice and citrusy, got that cool old-fashioned flavor to it, which I really love. That's a winner for me. John, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see bourbon being a no-brainer pairing for the Murciélago.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, the funkiness of the Rye-Belgian combination to me ends up being the winner for me tonight. I think it just takes the cigar in a different direction than the first two pairings. The Liberty Ale, easily number 2 for me. The combination of just that, it's an easy drinking ale, but it's got a little bit of upscaled hops to it. But it's that, fresh hops. It's more of the citrusy quality instead of piney. And it's not that citrusy like grapefruit. It's sweet citrus like an orange. And I think that plays nicely. So when you're talking about an old fashioned, my mind immediately went, bourbon and cherry and that orange citrus, I think would all be a winning combination with the cigar, because then you get that chocolate and cedar off the cigar. And I think, a bourbon cocktail in this cigar, forget about it. That'd be a no-brainer.
It's killer. Yeah.
I think a Juan's Classic, the old fashioned, or a Manhattan would go really well with this cigar.
Absolutely.
Cool. But we can agree we all like the cigar, right?
Oh yeah. I love the cigar. Like, I'm almost out of cigar, and I'm really sad. I should have
need more.
Brought a couple more with me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
I know a guy.
I'm happy to give up my monthly, the money I set aside each month for beers. I'm happy to put that away and put this toward the cigar and just getting as many cigars as I can instead of beer. It's that good, and I'm a beer nut.
I don't think you guys have reviewed the cigar, so I know a guy. He may be sending you some. So he may be sending you some so you guys can review.
I'm sure we can get that done.
I know a guy.
I know a guy who reviews cigars. and Juan Cancel has breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Cubara Canyon may have a house at IPCPR with old fashions for everyone.
Take your insurance card.
Make sure you get your Twin Rex and
Make
your
sure you've got-
malaria,
All your shots.
your Guardia.
Oof, that's gonna be bad.
Gonna have to make that a triple just to kill anything in that drink.
Wait.
You know what I'm saying?
Nothing good is gonna come of this. I'm just letting you guys know now.
Anthony Rasicki wants to know if Juan is going to be pairing those old fashions with antibiotics.
This old fashioned goes very well with tetracycline, one of my old favorites. You know?
A little penicillin around the rim.
Just around the tip.
All right, our final segment here. We're running way behind on the breaks, but I'll fix it
I'm
all
sorry.
in post. I'm
sorry, guys. I really am. I'm sorry.
Our final segment is brought to you by Drew Estate. Smoke them, they good. Can I hear myself?
A little bit. Yeah.
I'm at the brewery watching.
Yeah, hold on a second, guys. They can hear that through here. When they're done here, you'll be able to watch it right away. So as soon as they're done, we'll be able to watch it. Right? Correct?
Yeah, and from the beginning.
Yes. Yeah.
And from the beginning.
So when you're one thing that I've learned from streaming Facebook, you can't rewind while we're live. Once we finish, it saves it forever.
Outstanding.
But then people can go back and watch it, and you can share it on people's walls and all that stuff. But while we're live,
Tag a million people.
yeah, you could tag every single person you know. Man, the comments right now are savage.
Are they really?
Jeremy Whitmiller says that the old fashions will be stirred with a clean finger.
No shot. No shot. It doesn't have the Kenso love if there's not a little black under the fingernail. I mean, that's
oh no,
that's
we're
where,
gonna. Yeah, no.
The flavor's in the smegma, guys. Come on, bro. That's where the flavor's at.
That's the master blend.
It's a secret ingredient.
And Steve Zerschmeid is he's sitting here enjoying Espinosa cigars and drinking Kaufner beer.
Oh, really? There's a guy drinking Kaufner beer online.
Nice.
Outstanding. Yeah, Rob, I'm not leaving anytime soon. We're gonna watch this in its entirety, so that's gonna be cool, and we'll be able to read the review, the comments. Oh, that's Steve. That's the guy sitting next to me. Never mind. Shh.
Oh, okay.
So much. Ralph's like, well, there goes that. That goes that whole. Are we back, or are we still on?
No,
break?
we're not on a commercial break.
Oh, we're back. I said
We've been
smegma.
back.
Oh my God! I shouldn't have said. I can't. I said smegma. Oh. Okay. So.
Oh, Hector.
It's the beer talking. That's okay.
Yeah,
Hey, man,
that's what happens.
There's nothing over 7% alcohol here. If I'd have had what Dennis had, who knows what I would have been saying by now.
Oh, it would be a mess.
It would be a mess.
Oh, I session bourbon all day, every day. Anytime. Bourbon and eggs.
Bourbon and eggs. That's a man's breakfast right there.
Bourbon
That's
and
a
oatmeal.
cowboy
Man.
breakfast right there.
Put a little bourbon in your oatmeal. It's a delicious combination.
It is delicious. Cinnamon, bourbon, oatmeal.
Cinnamon bourbon oatmeal.
syrup.
Telling you. Forget about
All
it.
right, so let me review here. Dennis's favorite pairing was the Jim Beam, correct?
Yep. The Basil Hayden's from Jim Beam.
What was your favorite pairing, Trip?
I think it's the Founders, but it might actually be the IPA. I feel like that contrasting sweetness goes really well with the cigar. But so does
And John-
that blade oakiness.
And Surgeon, what was your favorite pairing, the IPA or the?
The Red Rye IPA for sure.
The red. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. These are. I'm telling you, It's incredible what one cigar. It's incredible how people not only perceive a cigar, how they taste it, and how they just Had I stayed home today, had I gone back home after work, I would have probably gone with. I think we talked last week. I was thinking a coffee drink.
Mm-hmm.
Not alcohol, just coffee. And then there's a Cruzan makes a rum. It's called Bootstrap Rum.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had it.
Which I think would have gone great with this. This would have gone good with this cigar. And I probably would have paired it with a Cuban rum that I some prior to the embargo rum that I have at the house. So it's funny. It's funny how some things bother me and some don't. Cuban cigars bother me. Cuban rum doesn't, not so much. I don't know why. I don't know.
Cuban rum is just delicious.
Cuban rum doesn't bother me. Cuban cigars, oh no. But Cuban rum, sure. All the bottles you can get, no problem.
Well, I'll tell you, the Maestro de Selection from Havana Club would have been a no-brainer with this cigar. And again, I avoided that because it's too easy. Like I already know because it's so complex.
Is that's that $200 bottle that they?
That's the blue.
Oh, the blue.
Yeah, the blue label one.
Let me tell you something. I bring rum back from Cuba. I mean, rum back from Nicaragua every time I go. Don't go to the first duty free. Go to the one over there by the a little bit further away from our gate. There's a duty free there. Oh, that's great. And that's the new bottle.
That's the one.
The Maestros. I get a couple of bottles there, and the guy wraps it for me. I said, you don't need to do that anymore. We can bring them in the country. Oh, just okay. He wraps them in the duty free magazine for me, and I brought a boatload of it, and it makes great Christmas presents, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I think I was telling you guys when I first started going to Nicaragua, you could buy that rum for $12. Wow. It's $25 now.
Yeah.
It's $25.
Which is still super cheap for what you're getting.
Yeah, but they're not using that money for infrastructure. I'll tell you that. They're not using that money for infrastructure in Cuba. I'm just saying, I don't want to start any crap, but I'm just saying.
I can confirm that. I haven't been to Cuba many times.
Hi, everyone from Kaufner family. Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys don't have a beautiful barmaid like no?
No, we do not.
No.
I don't think I'd leave that brewery ever. You
know what? I feel like it's a beer fairy.
It's funny. Kimberly was here, but had you paid Cancel, he would have definitely dressed up like that for you.
I think Kimberly would wear it better. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
With the finger or without the finger? Because it matters.
She could have used her foot. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And I will be tagging you on her Facebook, so you know what I'm talking about. All right, so man, I'm gonna get in trouble. All right, so how about that? How about those Dolphins?
How about them Dolphins?
Hey, Super Bowl predictions. Super Bowl predictions. What do we got?
I'm not a sports guy, so I'll abstain from any kind of sports predictions.
So you're not a Patriots hater. I'm not even going to ask John because he's a Jets fan, so I know he is temporarily a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right. And what a horrible choice to have to make there.
You know awful. What? My choice, it would have to be Shaun White freestyle half pipe gold medal.
So he doesn't care about football either. All right. Hey, how about
I don't watch that foosball, no.
How about those Eagle fans treating those Viking fans nice? Huh? Did you guys see those videos?
Oh, man, that was rough.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, of all the stadiums, I think of all the stadiums in the United States, you have to know going into Philadelphia, that is the absolute toughest stadium. Yeah. Like, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I would never go to a Philadelphia game wearing my colors. No way.
The new stadium, the old stadium, at Veterans Stadium, they had a jail downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
They had a holding cell with a judge on closed circuit TV to take care of business. Yeah, but the funny thing is, Eric goes to Philadelphia all the time, and he goes to a shop there called Twin Smokes in Philadelphia, and he comes back. He goes, "Bro, those are the nicest people in the world. They love me. They treat me like family. I stay at the owner's house. They cook for me every night. But I guess when they go to the stadium, they lose their minds. I don't know what happened.
I mean, they boo Santa, man. Who boos Santa? They boo Santa Claus. That's savage.
Who boos Santa Claus? That's just wrong, That's a tough place to play, man. And you know what? No disrespect. I mean, not to take away their mantle, but Buffalo fans are tough too. Those guys.
Buffalo people are crazy, man.
As a Dolphin fan, I remember when the Dolphins had games in Buffalo in December. It's brutal. And you always see those 10 guys without their shirts on, and they're throwing batteries and there's I love being a fan, but come on, man.
I mean, it's one thing to bring violence into it, like
you gotta be a soldier, right?
Yeah, but damn, man, come on, it's I think New England wins again. I think Philadelphia's a good team, but those guys just know how to win, man.
What's the over under on number of controversial ref calls?
Oh, I don't know that one. I know when before the game started, the AFC was favored by 3 over the NFC team. So I don't know but I think 6. I think 6 is about right. I think Philadelphia is about a 6-point underdog.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games that for sure to me is going to come down to the last 2 minutes, no question. You're going to see at least I'm going to put the over/under is going to be 3 controversial calls from the game, 3. Unfortunately, I think the Patriots are going to take it, and it pains me. It pains me. I just hope that Tom Brady retires and the beginning of the suffering starts as of next season.
Shot.
I'd be so delighted.
Nobody lives a better life than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Win or lose, who's waiting for him at home?
Yep.
He's doing all right.
He's doing all
right. So what else you got? What else is going on?
Well, I've actually got.
Who do you have on tomorrow?
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Some housekeeping. So tomorrow we've got David Blanco from Blanco Cigars. It'll be his first time on the show. We are going to have some giveaways for all you weasels out there. You can get a 5-pack sampler from Blanco. And then next week we're going to have we don't have a guest for Cigar Chat. We're actually going to have a double header of sharing our pairings. Whoa. So the first sharing our pairings, Dennis and I are going to smoke the
nice
La Aurora ADN.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then on
very good cigar.
Thursday, we haven't decided what we're going to smoke. But Jason is going to be here in my, if I had a cool name, I'd say it, but here in my studio, my cave studio, I don't know. I don't have a good name for it. But he's going to come over here and we're going to drink Deconstructed Prairie Bomb. So if you've ever had Prairie Bomb, it is a imperial stout with coffee, chilies, vanilla, and chocolate. And I managed to get of the deconstructed version, which is the base stout in 4 different versions. One with only the chili, one with only the vanilla, one with only the chocolate, one with only the coffee. I'm really excited to see how that works out. Yeah, I've got 156 ounces, I believe, of prairie. So it's going to be a fun show.
I think you can call it the Drywall Ready for Paint Studios.
Oh my God! Come on! Every time someone's got to say, "That's my garage, man. I don't worry about painting my garage. I actually got paint for it, and I have it here, but I've had it here for like 3 months, sitting on.
You can get that done. You have a pickup truck, drive to the Home Depot. You can get a couple of guys to slap some paint on that in 2 hours. I'm just saying,
myself 2 hours. I'm just out here hosting shows for these people.
These people. I like
you mean savages, right? Cigar savages.
Cigar savages that need their podcasts.
Weasel Nation.
Yep.
Weasel Nation unite. Hey, no, never mind. Can't talk about that. So anyway, some things I just can't talk about.
We can talk about it after we go off air.
Yes, let's talk about it after we go off the air. Let's talk about it after we go off the air.
Do we have anything else to talk about before we wrap it up? Anybody?
The cigar is phenomenal. If you haven't had it, go get it. Seriously.
If your local shop doesn't have it, ask them why they don't have it. Tell them to get it because it's delish.
It really is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. We're very proud of that cigar. Very happy how it turned out. We're very happy how that cigar turned out.
All right, and with that, Hector, show everybody, give a little plug to Kaufner. Show them that sign behind you.
All right, let me show you the sign.
What a cool brewery. More people need to know about these guys. I feel like they're amazing.
Support, not only should you support your local B&M, support your local brewery.
Absolutely.
And that line's backwards, but that's Kaufner Brewery. This is the guy you want to see here. Oh, it's not backwards to you guys? Okay. That's the man you want to see. Tell him Hector
if you're in the Fort Lauderdale area.
If you're in the Fort Lauderdale area, come down and enjoy his beer. I'm telling you, his beer is outrageous. The customer service is great. The barmaid ain't hard to look at. And they have a humidor full of cigars by that brand, Espinosa. Espinosa.
And I mean,
and Ralph's very happy that you guys gave him a few minutes to talk about cigars. And let me tell you something. You guys are beer guys. I'm surprised you haven't tried to book some beer people on there to nerd it up to a new level. Take it to a new level of nerddom.
It's hard to get beer people who appreciate cigars.
If you ever decide, you got your first guy right here. This guy, I'm telling you, this guy.
I got something. Give me 1 second. I'm ready.
Hold on, he's getting something out of his secret stash to show you guys.
Man.
I wanted to find out about that brand that he has in his humidor. What was it? Espinosa? Where could they get more information about that?
At EspinosaCigars.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome.
Not bad, huh? Not bad. He went to fetch something out of the thing. We can probably show it to you offline if you want. So, like I said, this guy, we're very happy to have met him. He supports local B&Ms. He drove to Miami, to my local store down in Miami, Caribbean. Him and his buddy dropped $1,000 on cigars.
Oh my God!
$1,000.
Woo! Sweet Jesus!
And not just on Espinosa stuff. He likes unicorns, man. He went down there and he's constantly. Oh, wait a minute. He's bringing the stuff he wants you guys to see.
Let's take a little treat to show off.
This guy's like Santa Claus. This is what he's got for you guys. Hold on.
Hold this box.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
The war had stopped for you guys.
Those for you guys.
So he's going to send those to you guys, all right?
So all we need is your address, and we're going to ship it right away. I'm giving it to Hector, and just please send the address and receive all that stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you very much. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
They're very, very happy. So I'll tell you again, who's your daddy? All right. So anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you letting me do it here. I know it's different than what you've done before in the past, but I thought this would really hit home with you guys, since you guys are beer guys. You like beer, and then this guy's a beer guy, man. He's a beer guy.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody on the Armed Forces Radio Network, of course, for listening. We appreciate you guys out there doing things that we're not to do. That I don't say that phrase because it's not appropriate for me to say it.
Well, I'm prior service, so I know you are. I'm saying I'm very happy. I'm telling you, Armed Forces Radio is a big deal. Armed Forces Radio is a big deal. And David, you're going to have David Blanco on tomorrow.
Yeah,
and David Blanco's. I think he may be in the reserves right now. I think so. It's you're definitely going to hear some military stuff tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you everybody on Facebook for watching. Thank you all of our podcast listeners for listening. Remember, at Sharing Our Pairings, we want you to drink better, but we want you to drink less.